welcome to the EV Ready training series powered by FleetWise. So in the analysis phase of your EV roadmap, we're now going to look at strategies to mitigate energy costs, or cost of fuel, if you'd like that in old money. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a very volatile movement in cost of electricity. It's fair to say we've also seen volatile movements in cost of petrol and diesel in the same period, but it may well be worthwhile helping your drivers to understand how to navigate this landscape of using electricity as a fuel and how to do it in the cheapest way. If we look at the variations in how you can charge an electric vehicle and how much it might cost, there's a fairly simple calculation to take to work out how much it costs to charge an electric vehicle. You take the size of the battery, which is in kilowatt hours, and you multiply it by the cost of your energy, which will be in pence per kilowatt hour. So if you take a battery with 64 kilowatt hours of energy in it, and you're on a home charger which costs 30 pence per kilowatt hour, if you multiplied 64 by 0.3, that would give you the cost of filling that battery up from empty to full. Now, helping your drivers understand that, we can then move on to the variations in how you can charge an electric vehicle and the differences in cost. The cheapest place to charge an electric vehicle is if you can get it free. These are rare these days, but still available in some places. So there might be some National Trust parks or park and rides that still offer free charging. To the employee, workplace charging might be free, but of course it's not free to you as the employer. But the cheapest place, if you can find it, is free. I think some of the terminals at the Channel Tunnel, for instance, the Eurostar, that some of those are still free to use. If you can't find free charging, the next cheapest place for an EV driver to charge up is at home and using something called an off-peak or smart energy tariff, which gives them the opportunity to have significantly reduced energy pricing for a period of time, typically at night, but it might be across a weekend period. It's when energy demand is at its lowest in the country. So one of the examples might be Octopus Energy, which is quite a common user these days, but they have a tariff called Octopus Go, where you can have energy between 12:30 and 4:30 in the morning, energy at greater than a third of the cost of the rest of the day. So if your driver is available to unlock a tariff like that at home, it will give them very, very cheap energy costs. It might give them running costs of 2 or 3 pence a mile. And if you multiplied that 64 kilowatt hour battery by 9 pence per kilowatt hour as an example, you're starting to get much, much cheaper energy than you would if you didn't have that tariff. So my question to you as a fleet contact is, are you making your EV drivers aware that these tariffs even exist? They might not be right for them, but I heard a shocking statistic maybe some months ago that 2 out of every 5 EV drivers simply don't know these tariffs exist. You have an opportunity to make sure your drivers are not part of that statistic. If you can't charge with an energy tariff like that at home, but you can still charge at home, then that's the next best place to charge. On a standard electricity tariff, that would be the next place. And if you can't charge at home at all, then you're at the mercy of public charging, which could be anything between 40 pence per kilowatt hour and £1 per kilowatt hour. Helping your driver to understand this massive variation between free and £1 per kilowatt hour can really help them navigate the charging landscape more effectively, which has a knock-on effect for you as the employer, because if they're doing business mileage but you haven't told them how to charge cost effectively, that's going to come back to you in the form of a mileage reimbursement. So it does pay in many ways to help educate your drivers to see how they can get the most cost-effective charge in their electric vehicle. You might also think that if you have established through your driver survey that a lot of your drivers can charge at home, you may consider paying for their home charger to be installed. These are typically the thick end of about £1,000 each. But the reason you may think that's a good idea is if you pay for a home charger to be installed and allow your employees to unlock the cheaper home charging, that may take away the need for you to provide workplace charging. So yes, you might be spending £1,000 on each driver's home, but if it's stopping you spending thousands of pounds on workplace charging, which is probably more expensive per unit of energy than an off-peak tariff your driver can unlock, that's probably a consideration too. And if you're thinking about the tax implications of that, currently there is no benefit in kind to the employer providing that benefit to the employee free of charge. So no taxable benefit involved. That's simply because HMRC don't recognise electricity as a fuel under current legislation. So there's a little bit of information around mitigating charging costs. If you just aim for the most expensive place to charge, energy can be more expensive than petrol, but it's very rare that somebody would adopt that mindset. They would look to get the most effective charging costs around, and maybe you can help them unlock those. So there's a little bit around mitigating energy. Go to fleetwise.info if you'd like to listen again or view any more videos in the series, and we look forward to seeing you on the next session.